Welcome, Jess. I will do a little bit formal introduction. I've just got some notes because it's worth telling. So Jess Tetu is a national award-winning serial entrepreneur, and that's not the kind you eat, making waves across Canada, which is also making an impact on our community through her dedication to philanthropy. Overcoming adversity at a very young age, she relocated to Saskatoon with nothing more than a backpack and a bus ticket, and through dedication, determination, and hard work has become a multi-award winning top entrepreneur in Canada. She has been awarded Sask Entrepreneur of the Year, Leading Community Builder Award, honored with a YWCA Women of Distinction, Chamber of Commerce Volunteer of the Year, on top of dozens of other accolades, and most recently was awarded one of the most coveted business awards in the country, where she was named one of Canada's top 40 under 40. Well done. Jess is the sole owner of 4 Just For You day spas that hasn't updated in the last week.
Never know, you never know.
In Saskatchewan and Alberta, founder and CEO of Lia Reese Canada, co-founder of Entrepreneur 306 Business Consulting, and founder and CEO of 471 Recovery Resources. Please welcome Jess Tetu. So I want to thank you for joining us today, and I realized when I was preparing my notes how grateful I am, and it was one of those moments I had with wow, I get to interview, but we get to meet such amazing women. And Jess, we all put our pants on the same way in the morning, but man, you get stuff done. Wow. So my first question is, what does it, and I know there's a lot, but what does a day in the life of Jess Tetu look like?
Well, it's taken a long time to build a bit of a routine. I run a lot of things and lead a lot of people, and I have 3 kids and locations in different cities, and so I really had to teach myself to have a routine no matter where I am in the province, in the country. So every day I try to get up before my kids, have me time. That was something I wasn't doing for a long time, and by lunchtime, I was burnt out, I was miserable, I was short with people, I just wasn't myself because I wasn't giving myself a moment before I was thrown into, I always say the monkeys on my back. I'd walk into business and there'd be monkeys thrown at me, and I'd just be the whole time, trying to deal with all of these little things all day long. And so I set aside time every single morning. I get up by myself, quiet time, get a coffee, because I can't function without it anymore, and read through my emails, look at my schedule for the day, kind of get my bearings, and then I go wake up my kids and get into my normal routine. That's really important for me. And then the second really important thing, no matter where I am, is I'm in bed at a certain time, no later than 11. I don't fall asleep at 11, but I make myself be in bed at 11, and no phone. And that used to be something that I'd be working on my phone until 4 in the morning before I'd realize, oh crap, it's 4 in the morning, and I'd be well, just one more email, and then one more email would turn into 5 more emails, and one more project, and then that's it. And then my mind starts spinning, and I get all these ideas, and then the next thing I know, I have to be up in an hour. So I really had to teach myself. That took a long time. But no matter where I am, no matter what city I'm in, if I'm traveling, if I'm with my kids somewhere, if I'm here in Regina Spa, or if I'm in Lloydminster Spa, I always start my day and end my day the same, so that there's at least a little bit of consistency, and everything in between there is just chaos, if I'm being completely honest.
Because I swear everything you touch turns to gold, and why I say that was, if you've been to her website, this is 12 font, but you can see about 100 lines here, 2 pages of awards. Does everything you touch turn to gold?
No. I make a lot of mistakes. I've learned a lot of lessons. I failed a lot of times before I ever won any of those awards, and I still fail a lot of times. And I might try in 10 things and win in 1, and people only see the 1 that you win, and they don't see all the hard work and the struggles and the failures, but they're there. And any entrepreneur can say that, any woman can say that. There's always so much more than what people, what it appears. I've been very blessed and very lucky to be awarded what we've been awarded, and the recognition that we've received, and I take it with grace, and I'm very humbled by it, and it inspires me to do more, but there's definitely a lot of failures that have happened to get there.
So you have a company, thinking of all the awards, and you have a company that you're now Entrepreneur 306 Business Consulting, so you're actually coaching people now. But back then, did you ever have a coach, who brought you along, or a mentor?
Yes, I had a mentor. He was this amazing, like, I don't know his age, but I would say over 60, because he'd be mad at me for saying that. He's old. Amazing, wonderful man I met in my industry, and in passing at a conference. He's very influential in my industry internationally, and I was lucky enough to go to one of his speaking engagements, and he owned some very impressive companies in the States, and I just kind of joked with him, and I had a good rapport, and this was before I even bought the company. And when I purchased my business, it was a very small, not doing great, 4-employee spa when I bought it, and he kind of just took me under his wing, and very American, so would just be like, well, fire them. You know, get rid of them, tell them not to come back. And I'm like, I can't do that. Like, no, I have to find a solution. And he'd just like shake his head, and, you know, and he was very funny and just took me under his wing and gave me lots of advice, because he'd done it for 18 years or 25 years at that point. And then now we joke, and I'm always like, I might know more than you. And he's always just like, I don't really know. Like, so we argue back and forth, because he does a lot of like the hair industry, which is very different from the spa industry. And so he mentored me from a distance, just, you know, via email and phone for 4 or 5 years, and really helped me. He talked me off the ledge a lot when I was like, I gotta sell. I'm not cut out for this. This isn't for me. Somebody quit on me last minute, or this client is upset, or something didn't work out. We didn't make money this month, and I wanted to sell all the time. And now I learned, like, that's part of the process. If you don't get to that point, you're nowhere near success yet. You're gonna want to give up. That's part of the process. And so now I mentor others with the E306, because I understand how valuable it was for me to have somebody to bounce ideas off of, to tell you weren't crazy. Because when you tell your close friends that aren't entrepreneurs that you have this crazy idea, it sounds crazy. But when you tell other people who've done similar things like you've done, it's not so crazy. They'll be like, oh yeah, I tried that. And you're like, whoa, what? And they'll give you advice, and they'll give you suggestions, and just having that shoulder and that ear was priceless for me, and the encouragement and support. And then he really taught me to surround myself with really, really supportive people, that would be my most prized possession, and it really is, and I hold true to that today. I keep my very tight support group close to me. I always say find your tribe and love them hard, and that's so true, because those people have been huge in my world. And so now I've become a mentor, and I take on clients here and there, and we just sit down for like an hour at a time, and I'm that to them. And that's so important for me now, to be on the other side of that, and to be able to say, like, I've been there, I know how hard it is, I know that you're not sleeping, I know that you want to give up, I know you want to sell your business, I know you're not making any money, I know you miss your husband, I know you miss your kids, you know, all these things, and say, I've been there and I've made it out the other side. Like, you'll be okay. And that it's really rewarding for me, not only for them, but for me as well.
Have you ever had to trade off? I mean, I think we all have had to trade off. It's this or this.
That's a question I get asked a lot, actually, because the assumptions that are made when you're a successful entrepreneur is that you must never spend time with your family. Or if, you know, I have girlfriends who are stay-at-home moms, and feel the same way opposite, like, oh, well, you must not be driven. And I disagree so strongly, because what works for someone works for someone, and no one else really has the right to decide what is or isn't best for that person. For me, my husband is so supportive. I am extremely stubborn. I've been this way. My auntie's like nodding her head right there. She's the only person in this room that's known me since I was a toddler. I might be the most stubborn woman ever, and sorry, that's who I am. You can't change. That's how I am. And so having that support was really important to me, like, regardless of who I'm around and who I'm with. And it's a constant balancing act. For example, just recently I went on a 10-day trip with my kids and my husband, with no service, no work. I answered absolutely 0 messages, which was really hard for me. But I can do that. I'm in a position now where I can do that. Well, 18 years ago, or 15 years ago even, there was no way I could take off that many days from my business, because back then I had to make the sacrifices. And so the sacrifice came in time of, I would have to spend a lot of time with my business, and there was times I did miss my kids' sports games, and there was a lot of times I missed a lot of things. But now I worked my ass off, frankly, to get where I am now so that I don't have to do that. And now I can go the other way. And if I want to spend 10 days with my kids, I'm spending 10 days with my kids, and I'm not answering to anyone. And so it's like a constant balancing act. When I'm opening a new business, I'll say to my family, and I sit down, and it's a family discussion, but I'm very stubborn, so the decision's usually made. But I will sit down and say to them, you know, if we're going to go forward with this, if I'm going to open, you know, another location, Mommy's going to be busy for probably another month or two. I'm going to be working long days, and then I'll be home. But you know what? In exchange, I'm going to take off the entire summer when you're home from school, and I'm going to be, that's it, I'm off for the summer, and my staff can reach me via email and via text. And I try to always, you know, make that balance. But for anyone who can say that have you found the balance? I don't think there really is an answer to finding a balance, because it's constantly rotating. When all hell breaks loose and my washer and dryer breaks, because that happens all the time, it doesn't matter where I am. It doesn't matter if I'm in a hockey rink watching my son. I got to deal with it, and I got to deal with it now because it's my responsibility, and that's just what you sign up for. And so I try to always then make it up if I need to make it up, and if I feel like I've been working too much, then I take that time away and go back.
So going back to being stubborn, and going back many years ago, in your introduction you talk about you left rural Saskatchewan, you left your home, wore the backpack and a bus ticket. At that point, what were you thinking?
Well, those years were really hard. We had addictions in our home and a lot of conflict, to say the least. And so I don't know that I remember. I was very angry and very frustrated, and it was kind of like survival mode. That's the only way I can explain it. I was mad, and my response to the survival mode was to be mad. And that was just my way of dealing with it at that age. But I knew that I was going to do something amazing. I just didn't know what. But I knew that since I was a child, I wanted to do something. I wanted to be something and prove people wrong, that I wasn't this poor kid in school that wore hand-me-down clothes and his car sounded like a helicopter, and and I wanted to not just prove it to anyone else, but to myself. And I remember thinking well, now I'm on my own, and I'm on my own program, and I got to take care of myself. And I had to do that. It wasn't a choice, really. It just was survival.
And that's what made you today. Would you say that, or no?
Yeah, the number one question I get asked when I'm on stage or when I'm speaking across Canada is it's so crazy to see, you must be so proud of yourself for succeeding after going through all of that, craziness, or it's so amazing to see you come out the other end when you went through all these struggles and you become successful despite all of this chaos. And if you know my whole story, you would know there's quite a bit there. And I am often, the first thing I reply with is that I'm not successful despite it all. I'm successful directly because of it all. That's why I'm strong. That's why I'm willing to go the extra mile. I'm not as scared as maybe a new entrepreneur just starting out that might be investing, X amount of money. The fear isn't the same to me. The fear for me was, being a little girl in a women's shelter, or having the police come to our home in the middle of the night. That's fear to me. So fear to me wasn't the same as giving, okay, I'm signing on for a $100,000 loan. And I'm I'm never going back to that shelter, so what do I have to lose? I really have nothing to lose. And so the fear for me just isn't quite the same, because people always say, aren't you scared? Aren't you so scared to risk it all and open another one and open another one? And I really, there's a little bit of fear there, but it's not the same for me. Because now I know, even if it didn't work out, I'm not going back to that life of struggling like that. So what do I have to lose? I know now that I'm smart enough to do something good, and I can make it. So why not try, right? If you don't try, you're not going to get anywhere. And so that's kind of always been my way of looking at it.
Earlier you talked about the tribe that you surround yourself with, and has that, just thinking of the tribe, does the tribe change for you from when you were 20 to 30 to 31 but also...
Totally, I'm 31.
I didn't want to go there.
I'm still under 40, so that's
who you surround yourself with, anyone particular that you've carried through the whole time that has inspired you?
My auntie. Oh. Yeah, you're right in front of me. I have to when your life changes so drastically, we went from women's shelters and losing our home to, now I own these businesses and have my own kids in my own life. Of course, the people that surround me are going to be different. Of course they are. However, I really value the people that stood out to me growing up, like really valued. I didn't value that until I was about 30. When I turned 30 is when I really started to see life in a new way. I really started to appreciate the people that truly cared, not just the people that were there to celebrate with you or there for you when, I'm going through divorce or whatever it was, that are there to like lift you, but the people that were like all of it, were just there 100% of no matter what it was. So Auntie was one of them. And then I actually created a lipstick line called the Inspirational 12. And it's the most inspirational 12 women in my life growing up. So they were teachers, and most of these people, this is a perfect example of you never know how much you've touched someone's life. So most of these women had no idea that they were that to me. And so I always try to remind other women, like, you really don't know the impact you're having on someone else's life. You don't know, just by being kind, what that could do to someone else's life, because they, like a teacher, for example, she had no idea that she made that impact on me, and she did, and it's something I'll always remember. And so I always use that as inspiration now, to be able to do that for other people, whether it's my teammates or other women when I'm speaking at events, or women I meet, or other moms, or whatever it is. But so those are my like core, like my family. But my close group of entrepreneurs, there's a couple of them here, Mackenzie in the back there. We just are our minds are so alike, and I can say anything to them, like I've had a terrible day, and they just get it because they've dealt with it too. And there's gonna be those few friends when you own a business or you find any sort of success, that if you said like, I had a really bad day, you will get the response of like, oh yeah, I'm sure life's really rough for you, and that's honestly that you will get that. And so having those people that just get that I'm not saying it's not wonderful and I love it, but it's really hard sometimes. Like it's really hard. And there's gonna be those people that some days you just need them to say, it's okay that you had a bad day. I get it, I feel you. And other inspirational women that are doing the same thing as you, like-minded individuals, have become my most prized possession. And that's like my little group of boss babes, I always call them. We vent about things, we celebrate together, and they're my tribe. And we've been now all business owner friends for quite a long time now. So I would say it changes a little bit, but never really too far. I'm always adding new people and meeting new people. And
I think that's the one thing about events like this, so that if you don't have that tribe, this could be a great place for you.
My first experience with social events, I suffered terribly from social anxiety actually growing up. I couldn't even order a pizza. I couldn't go into a bank, like dead serious. I couldn't answer the phone. I had such terrible social anxiety. Now I stand in front of 2,500 women and speak, or women and men, and no problem, doesn't bother me at all. But my first social event like this was one of the most terrifying experiences of my life. And it was so wonderful, it completely changed my vision on meeting new people, when I realized I was just meeting people the wrong way. There's a lot of really great, wonderful, supportive people out there. I just, unfortunately, the road I'd been on, I hadn't been really influenced by any event like this. I hadn't been able to experience it. So joining WESC, going to different events like this, women's events, or any sort of social events, charity events, all of those things have become an absolute key to my success. Absolute key. And I'll tell anyone that. If two business owners are doing the same things, and one is attending everything, shaking hands, meeting people, giving out their business cards, supporting other women. You own a business and I support you, and then you support her and she supports the one that's doing the supporting and getting out there and shaking hands is going to be more successful. It's just, that's the way it's going to happen that way, because she's working to build that network, and networking is priceless.
You talk a little bit about influence, and we were talking earlier about, I asked you about the books you read or the podcasts or the whatever. What do you do to sort of get inspired or move ahead, learn? I
have this thing where I try to find something that inspires me every day, whether it's somebody, something, someone. If you've ever seen my cosmetic line, next time if you're ever in my spa or in one of my stores, pick up the products and read the bottoms, because they have the craziest, weirdest names, because I name them after things that have inspired me over the years. And so there's lots of like crazy, funny things, and there's lots of amazing, wonderful people that I've named them after, but I always am looking for inspiration. And you really do have to look, because it doesn't matter what book you read. If you're not ready to be to do something, reading a book isn't going to help you if you're not willing to do the work and put the work in. But I try really hard to follow really inspirational people that are positive. I made a focus to remove negativity from social media, especially because, you know, when you're scrolling through your Facebook, someone's venting about something every day, or somebody's posting I remove all of that now. I don't want to see it, because you're taking on other negativities without even recognizing. You're scrolling through it, you're reading this negative story after negative story after negative story, and then you're supposed to go be positive and love what you're doing. It doesn't work. You have to focus and work on staying positive and inspiring yourself with inspirational things and people. And so I follow a lot of inspirational women, a lot of other entrepreneurs, a lot of wonderful celebrities that are doing amazing, wonderful things. And I listen to lots of podcasts and interviews and things like that and try to stay inspired. But
I laugh at that because I listened to Essentialism in January, and I'm listening to it again because I don't think I got it the first time. And I'm doing it with a group who were accountable to each other. It's like, what have you done? And it's a lot better, but I don't know if I was ready for it.
If you're not ready, it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's like hiring a trainer and then eating cheeseburgers.
You have taken a lot of risks, and like you said, I'm not going to end up back there, so maybe it's not as big, but what would you say is the biggest risk you've ever taken?
Business?
Sure.
Opening Regina.
That was your first one? Second one, right? Yeah. Saskatoon was your first.
It was 3, almost 4 times the size. We had 2,500 square feet in Saskatoon, and I had been running it for 6 years, 5-6 years. And it was extremely successful. We'd tripled the business in that first year. And I opened a 15,000 square foot spa that cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars to do. I risked my success of the first one to open a second one in a city that I didn't even live in. And everybody told me I was crazy and I shouldn't do it, so I stopped telling people and did it anyway, because I'm stubborn. But my goal was to always change my industry's respect towards people in my industry workers. I was tired of people being like, oh, you work at a salon? I'm like, no, I don't. But even if I did, why is that not as good? Like, what do you mean by that? Or like, oh, you're a masseuse? And I'd be like, no, it's a massage therapist. Masseuse is not, we don't say that word, you know? Or like, oh, you paint nails, instead of being an esthetician. And I wanted really badly to, these women and men work their butts off. They're the hardest working people I've ever met. And so they deserved that experience of feeling respected. And I wanted to be the place that gave them a career instead of just a job. And so that was a really big part of it. And my husband would say, like, but you still need to like make some money for yourself. And I'm like, I know, but I will. This is just what I want to do. I really want to create careers in an industry that doesn't create careers. Usually in our industry, if your body burns out doing massage, that's it, you're done. You don't like doing aesthetics anymore, you quit. And I wanted to give them growth opportunities, educational positions, management directors, leadership roles, that type of thing. And you can't do that if you're a 5-person employee team. So that was one of my main goals. And then I'm from Craik, Saskatchewan, and it's in the middle of Regina and Saskatoon. So it was just like a natural, and my grandma and my auntie are here. So that was like an easy decision, but it was a huge risk. Had it not worked, I would have lost the first one probably.
Yeah. So going from the first one to the second one, the third one, the fourth one, the Lia Reese, the consulting, do you know your end game? Do you know the ultimate?
I've learned to not share your ideas. And this is my late father's advice. He used to say to me, why does a pregnant woman never tell her friends the baby's name before the baby's born? Does anybody know why?
Because they'll take it.
Because they'll steal it or tell you that they don't like it. And he's like, why would you tell someone this passionate thing you're so excited about that you know you're going to do anyway, if they're going to try to talk you out of it? And I'm like, oh my God, like what? Because I would eat myself up at home at night. When I signed the contract for Regina, and even when I signed the contract for Lloyd, I remember going like, oh my God, am I making the wrong decision? Only because of other comments made to me. Not because of what I knew, looking at the books, looking at the market research and all of that. I let the comments of other people even my realtor was like, you really want to open in Lloyd? Like, I don't really think that's a good idea. I'm like, you're gonna make no money here, lady. Like, this is your job to lease me this space. Like, you're not very good at your job if you're trying to tell me not to rent the space. Anyways, and I just remember thinking like, and it's so successful there now, and I just keep thinking, had I listened to those comments, I never would have done it. And so I've learned to just share with the right people and trust in my own gut feeling, my intuition.
Well, I know because the time's ticking, so do you have any words of advice for women entrepreneurs like us that want to make a difference? And I think sometimes we all think we need to make this big difference, but sometimes it's just a little step. And do you have any advice?
I feel like if you're a business owner or you consider yourself successful, you consider yourself happy, I think it's our responsibility to give back to this community that supports you, because where are you if you have no community? How good is your business if your community fails? If the community doesn't continue to thrive, your business has got nothing. And for me, we were supported so much by the community and the programs and things that were available, not only when I was a child to my family, but to when I was a young adult and a single mom and struggling, every month to month. There were so many people that were so supportive and so many programs that I feel like it's my responsibility to go back and support those people. Now, for the people that say, well, I don't have the money, I rarely have to go and give cash. How I started was I volunteered either my time or I would simply ask around. Things like the women's shelters are very close to my heart. We do a lot for the women's shelters. And you may fill one little tiny box with a couple of kids' coloring books and some crayons, but I promise you walk it into that shelter and that little boy pulls it out of the box. Like, tell me that isn't something. Like, for me, I can sign a check, a business can sign a check and give it to any charity that they'd like, and that's amazing. But when you watch that impact firsthand, we do clothing drives for the lighthouse in Saskatoon. My father froze to death, that's how he died, and so we do collections of winter gear and we drop them off at the lighthouse. I have given maybe 3 jackets that were mine. All I did was simply put it on my social media, ask everybody to check their closets for mitts, toques, boots, winter gear, old jackets, and I filled 27 garbage bags full of winter gear and dropped them off. And the men were coming in minus 50 with no shoes on, no socks on, and digging through these bags like it was Christmas. And that wasn't me signing, a $10,000 check. That was me just asking people to help. And just because you don't have the time or the money doesn't mean that you can't make a difference. And I promise you that one person that you're helping could be me, because it was me, and it could be you, and it could be your child or your grandchildren or your best friend, or there's so much support needed right in our communities that are lacking. So volunteer if you can. There's so many programs. I could talk about it for hours. I want to write a book about it someday, I think, but I really.
Oh, you're not supposed to tell your ideas.
No. I'm stubborn. I'm still going to do it. But I just feel so strongly about giving back to the community, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the community. So
listening to you, and we're at the end, I look at you and I'm like, spas, we all love to feel beautiful. Lia Reese, we look beautiful. The consulting, I want to be better at what I do, feel good. And then 471, right, 471, just helping people addictions. For me, I feel like I know your ultimate mission in life, but do you want to share it?
I just want to help other people. I've been that way since I was a kid. My dad was that way. And it's just kind of what I feel like my purpose is. And it's not just me. I want to inspire my team to do that. What I realized really early in my career, that I could do something and it felt really good. But then if I could get 2 or 3 more to also do it, we made a bigger impact. And now we have 128 teammates, and we make a huge impact. A lot of it very quietly. We do some on social media and stuff, but a lot of it we do very quietly behind the scenes. And that to me gives them the opportunity also to make an impact on someone else's life. And it's just such an amazing feeling. It just is. And so I always try to encourage everybody, are you doing enough? Are you doing all you could be doing? Is there anywhere in your life that you could be maybe supporting, whether it's a community program or it's a charity or whatever it is? There's probably some way, somehow, that you could be, supporting giving back.
Well, we are at our end of our time. We're not done, but the Q&A will come next. But Jess, I feel in the last half hour I've got to know you just a little bit better. I don't know the whole backstory. I know, Lil, the whole Craig and leaving, but you were amazing, and everyone, please give Jess a amazing thank you. Thank you. Really great.